There are moments when everything you've prayed for finally begins to unfold. And yet, somehow you pull away. You find yourself hesitating, doubting, creating reasons to stop. Not because you don't want the good things, but because a part of you is afraid to receive them. This is self-sabotage, not a flaw, but a frightened guardian that learned to protect you from disappointment, from failure, from rejection. But every time you hold yourself back, you reinforce the lie that you're not ready, when in truth you've been ready for a very long time. Ask yourself, what are you afraid to admit about yourself? What thoughts begin to whisper when everything starts to go right? Do you feel that pull, that quiet urge to withdraw, to wait, to stall? Just when life starts aligning in your favor. That's not coincidence. That's self-sabotage, the invisible thread woven from your earliest fears, the echoes of lessons that once kept you safe. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being too happy invites disappointment, that standing tall draws envy, that shining too bright might attract pain. And so you shrink, not because you want to, but because somewhere deep down, safety became synonymous with smallness. You learned to keep your light dim, not because you didn't have brilliance to share, but because you believed light came with punishment. You taught yourself that failure felt safer than being fully seen. So even now, when opportunity knocks, your old conditioning whispers, stay quiet, stay small, stay safe. But your mind isn't your enemy. When you procrastinate, overthink, or withdraw, it isn't trying to destroy your potential. It's trying to protect you. Protection becomes confusion when the threat no longer exists. You're not that wounded child anymore who had to earn love through silence or survival. Yet that inner child still sits quietly in the corner of your soul, gripping those outdated rules, terrified that change means danger. The first step toward healing is awareness, to pause and notice when you're about to pull back. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. Ask softly, what am I afraid will happen if this goes right? Listen to the answers that rise, fear of rejection, of exposure, of loss. They aren't barriers. They're invitations to understand yourself more deeply. You don't heal self-sabotage by waging war against it. You heal it by listening, by recognizing that the parts of you that ruin your progress are the same parts still aching to feel safe. When you bring love where fear once lived, self-sabotage loses its grip. Because safety no longer means staying small. It means standing whole, seen, and unafraid. Maybe you know this feeling all too well. You start something beautiful and somewhere halfway through the energy fades. The excitement turns into hesitation. The vision that once felt clear now feels heavy. You meet someone genuine, yet a quiet voice inside insists they'll eventually leave. You get an opportunity that could change everything, and suddenly you start convincing yourself you're not ready, not capable, not enough. We all do this in different ways. Some of us overwork to avoid stillness, terrified of what silence might reveal. Others bury themselves in endless distractions, mistaking busyness for progress, chasing goals that never truly belong to the heart. And some settle not because we lack ambition, but because settling feels safer than risking rejection by reaching for more. But what if, instead of labeling it as weakness, you paused long enough to see the truth beneath the surface? What if your self-sabotage isn't rebellion, but remembrance, a memory disguised as a habit? A memory of being let down when you gave your all. A memory of being told, don't aim too high. A memory of believing that happiness never lasts, that peace is always temporary. Self-sabotage isn't laziness. It's a wound repeating itself. Protection learned in chaos, still trying to shield you from pain that no longer exists. Your mind learned that good things come with loss, so it prepares you early, by ruining what's good before life can. But when you see it for what it is, a survival pattern, compassion begins to bloom. And compassion changes everything. You stop shaming yourself for ruining things, and start holding space for the part of you that's terrified of rising. You begin to understand that the fear of failure and the fear of success come from the same place. Both demand surrendering control, stepping into the unknown. Healing begins the moment you remind yourself that uncertainty no longer equals danger. The past may have shaped your reflexes, but it does not define your choices. You are free now, and freedom starts by realizing you don't need to protect yourself from joy anymore. Now look deeper. What if self-sabotage was never the enemy, but the teacher? What if, instead of blocking your growth, it's showing you exactly where your safety wounds live? The places within you still unsure that it's okay to thrive, to be seen, to be loved without condition. Every time you procrastinate on your dream, it's not because you don't care. It's because a quiet voice inside asks, will I still be loved if I succeed? Every time you pull away from someone who cares for you, your heart wonders, will they still accept me when they see who I really am? These are not flaws, they are questions echoing from the past. They reveal the hidden contracts you made long ago, that it's safer to fail on your own terms than to be blindsided by disappointment. That struggle earns love. That peace must be traded for vigilance. But those contracts have expired. You can release them. You no longer need to earn safety through sabotage. You don't have to prove your worth by suffering. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of your next chapter, the one you've been circling for years. You can almost feel it, that mix of fear and anticipation. Breathe in slowly and whisper to yourself, it's safe now, because it truly is. Growth will always feel uncomfortable, not because you're in danger, but because you're expanding beyond the limits your old self once needed. Discomfort isn't danger, it's evolution. It's your soul stretching into the life it was always meant to inhabit. So when the urge to quit rises, when your chest tightens and your thoughts spin, pause. Don't react. Breathe. You are witnessing your nervous system replaying old data. Smile softly and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm safe now. This small act, gentle, consistent, full of awareness, begins to rewire your mind. Not through punishment, not through pressure, but through love. And that's how you begin to heal the pattern, by teaching every part of you that it's finally safe to grow. Now it's time to turn this awareness inward, to translate understanding into healing. Find a quiet moment. Breathe. Write a letter to the version of you that always finds reasons to stop. The one who hesitates right before things get good. The one who fears disappointment more than failure. Ask them what they're protecting you from. Ask what they need to feel safe moving forward. And then listen. Not to fix, not to correct, but to understand. When you write back, respond with compassion. Speak as the wiser, gentler version of yourself, the one who knows that growth doesn't mean danger anymore. Tell that part of you it's okay to rest, but it's also okay to rise. Think of a moment you self-sabotaged something meaningful, maybe a relationship, a dream, or a chance to shine. Instead of drowning in guilt, ask, what was I protecting myself from? That question alone dissolves shame and replaces it with clarity. You begin to see that every hesitation was an attempt to stay safe, even if it cost you peace. Then, take one small step that your old self would have avoided. Send that message. Apply for that job. Set that boundary. Rest without guilt. Each tiny act of courage rewires your mind, teaching it that it's safe to live differently now. You can even reframe the stories your shadow tells you. I always quit becomes, I'm learning to stay. I ruin good things becomes, I'm ready to receive good things. These small shifts don't erase your past. They reclaim your power within it. Healing self-sabotage isn't about becoming perfect. It's about learning to feel safe while you're still in progress. It's about progress that aligns with peace, not pressure. Because self-trust doesn't arrive with grand gestures. It grows quietly, in the moments you choose not to abandon yourself. Every time you move with love instead of fear, the pattern weakens. And step by step, you realize, the person you've been waiting to become has been with you all along, simply waiting to feel safe enough to unfold. You've carried old fears long enough. Self-sabotage was never your enemy. It was a signal that something inside you still needed care. Now you see it. You understand it. And in that awareness, you are free. You don't need to fight yourself anymore. You only need to walk hand in hand with the parts that once held you back. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering the self that was never broken. And that version of you is ready to rise.